Hello and welcome to the Celtic Way, Celtic versus Hibernian lineup reaction. Maeda leads the line as Adam Idah has to wait for his debut. I'm Tony Haggerty at ahaggerty10 on the X or Twitter handle, and I'm joined by Ryan McGinley at the Ryan McGinley, somewhere outside Celtic Park, along from it somewhere. Ryan, how are you, sir? Looking forward to this? League Cup, Celtic versus Hibernian. No debut for Adam Idah just yet. He has to hold. And I think from our predicted lineups, Ryan, we got 9 right, didn't we? We didn't expect Maeda to lead the line, and we thought maybe Sinazala would come in for Schmeichel, but he's gone with a fairly strong team there, and I believe that's all to do with last year when Celtic coughed up the trophy so early in the season. So he's not taking any chances this year, is he?
No, I've got a slight tinge of deja vu today. A Sunday playing Hibs. It's like it was last week all over again. You know, we're doing the same thing twice. No complaints about that. Different competition, different stakes. It's a knockout tie. I think both teams are going to be up for it this afternoon. The pitch will be in pristine condition. It's only been played on, twice in 2 weeks. You've had the men's game and the women's game. So, in pristine condition. Seems to be okay weather. You know, it's a bit cloudy, but it's not cold or anything like that. You're in that weird sort of stage where you're in between summer and autumn. So perfect conditions for football. We're going to have to wait a wee bit for Adam Idah to make his re-debut as a Celtic player. His debut as a permanent member of Celtic squad, but it's still a strong enough team. You know, they've named 11 players, 11 starters. And it's Brendan Rodgers really not taking any risks here whatsoever.
Yeah.
Putting as strong a team as possible. A couple of wee changes here and there. But you know, I say changes, but Forrest was in the team last week. Maeda came off the bench, but he's usually a starter. Nicholas Kuhn's a starter. Schmeichel's a starter. So, you know, maybe there's less changes than what we thought was going to be, but no complaints at all. Strong team, and it should probably do the business today.
Should do, yeah. For those asking, on the bench, it's Sinazalo, Palma, Idah, Yang, Holm, Bernardo, Ralston, Welsh, and Turley. Just got a couple of people asking, and there's Marquis putting the whole team in there, Ryan flicking that up with the subs as well. Yeah. Thank you, Mark, for that. So, what are you expecting today, Ryan? Except for a massive big cheer when Adam Idah finally makes his debut and he comes on, whenever that may be, the hour mark possibly. But you expecting Maeda to lead the line and lead it well?
Expecting more of the same. We were talking off air of the fact that Daizen Maeda made his debut against Hibs at home back, I think it was in the middle of January. It was the middle of January 2022, right before he went to leave to play, I think, internationals for Japan, I seem to remember, because it was round about that ballpark, around about that period of time. And he scored on his debut. It was also a man of the match performance from Rio Hatate that day too. So, you know, some things never change. Maeda's always there or thereabouts in the team, either if he's playing at left wing, right wing, or up front on occasion. He plays there for it's not entirely alien to him. He plays there for Japan when he plays for his national team. So I would expect him to put in the press, to press his opponents really well, to be on the end of shots, you would hope. And when he led the line last time against Livingston at home, he got a hat-trick, did he not? So, you know,
he did indeed. 4-2 win in the Scottish Cup,
He's a player that Brendan Rodgers trusts, regardless of where he puts him, whether it's at left wing, right wing, or up front. You know what he's going to give you. You know that there are limitations in his game, but at the same time, the pros outweigh the cons tenfold, in my opinion, by what Daizen Maeda brings you. Just a top quality professional, and I expect him to lead the line with merit today, to be honest.
Yep. Over 340 people joining us. Thanks very much, Joe. Appreciate your company prior to the game. We've still got a deal, Ryan, haven't we? Just flick that up there.
New season sale. This deal ends tomorrow at midnight. So I would have if you haven't already subscribed, and we thank everybody that has subscribed thus far. The uptake has been absolutely brilliant. Kick off the new season with a year of the Celtic Way for only £12. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. On there, there'll be the instant analysis from Tony that'll be as close to on the whistle as possible. Then a wee while later, there will be player ratings from myself, as well as other Q&As from the managers, maybe the player as well, depending on who gets put up to the media. But if you're looking for statistical analysis, opinion pieces, if you are looking for scouting reports, hopefully there's a few scouting reports coming through in the next week or two with players coming in the door. then look no further than the Celtic Way. £12 for 12 months. www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. And thank you to everybody that's joined in thus far.
Yeah, appreciate that, and appreciate people taking time out and handing over their hard earned to take advantage of that offer. So we always do appreciate it, guys. Get your predictions coming in, guys. Myself and Ryan will give our predictions just before we let Ryan head off to the ground, but I see a few predictions coming in already. Yeah, I mean, I'm quite comfortable with Maeda leading the line. I don't have a problem with that. My big concern would be hopefully Kyogo's just out as a precaution and maybe just wants. I have to say, I'm a wee bit disappointed that Adam Idah's not leading the line, but I get where he's coming from, and that maybe wants to get him his ovation when he comes on and get the crowd chanting his name and cheering as he makes his way onto the field rather than get it all for himself. But yeah, I having watched the two teams last week, Ryan, I still feel that's a Celtic team that should be confident of going about their business and setting about Hibs. And I'm looking for more goals this weekend, I have to say. That's not a spoiler for my scoreline prediction, but it probably is. But I think Celtic were pretty dominant last week, and the game was done and dusted after 20 minutes. I'd love the same again, but I'd love a more emphatic scoreline, Ryan.
Yeah, and apologies for cutting out there. You're at the will of, or you're at the mercy of a online hotspot on your phone when you're getting Wi-Fi outside of the ground, and everybody knows that that's inconsistent at its very best. So I might come in and out, but I'll try my hardest to keep in the chat and keep in the conversation as much as possible. Yeah, I want to see more of the same today, to be honest. I want to see goals. I want to see them be more clinical than they were last week.
Yes.
So it was 2-0, but it wasn't a 2-0 performance. I thought it was more akin to a 4 or 5 goal, much like the game before, the week before against Kilmarnock. I thought they were playing some good stuff. They just didn't put they just weren't clinical enough in the game, and that was disappointing. But I would expect a player like Nicholas Kuhn, who's probably had a week to think about the chances that he did miss, even though he did score a tap in, he'll be thinking about that, and he'll be thinking, right, I've scored in my first 2 games. Why not make it 3 games in a row? Why not make it 4 games? Hopefully 5 games in a row if it gets to the Rangers game and he breaks his duck again in the Glasgow derby. But that's his aim. He's got to be contributing in goals and assists every single game. So far, he is doing that, and he looks like a player that's really now at home at Celtic. He's a player that you think will have a big say in this game today. Similarly, Matt O'Reilly, who, as it stands, and Atalanta seem to have pulled out of their bid. They've just not met Celtic's valuation whatsoever, so much so that Celtic aren't even entertaining the offers anymore for him. So Atalanta have had to go elsewhere for their player. So as it stands, and we know that this is an ever-changing environment, the transfer window, but Matt O'Reilly's staying where he is until his valuation is met. So far, that hasn't been met, and here he stays, basically.
12 days to go, Ryan. 12 days to go, that's all I'll say. Yeah, and I'm delighted to see him. I mean, how's that for continuity there, Ryan? Yeah, the front 8 there, or the front 8 names. Well, there's 10 names actually, because Maeda's the only real change, isn't there? So 10 of those started last week. So Brendan Rodgers clearly wants that continuity and get guys to get used to playing the way Celtic play this style this season. So I'm delighted to see. I'm delighted to see a kind of selection that's not too different from last weekend, and that's a team that I still think will cause Hibs major problems, especially at home. And the onus is on Celtic. It always is at home to go out and entertain and score goals, and I think that's what Brendan Rodgers wants from the team today.
Yeah, I love the consistency in the team, because the team largely picks itself at this moment in time. Brendan Rodgers was talking about that you won't really start to see changes in the team, even with new signings coming through the door, until the first international break, September, October time, which is great, because you need that consistency in the early part of the season. Celtic were anything but consistent at the early part of last season, so I want to keep that going as much as possible. Unfortunately, Kyogo can't lead the line today, but I'm sure that Maeda can do a good job in his absence, because he'll bring the press. He's actually a better presser than Kyogo, so it might even fit the team better for this game today. He's a nuisance, and having a veteran like Forrest on the left wing, which we presume will be where he's playing today, because Nicholas Kuhn plays on the right wing. Having that there also gives an outlet for good distribution too to the strikers and the other midfielders and the forwards too. he just never lets you down, Forrest, these days. I think he's a player that understands his role. He understands his position. He's changed it ever so slightly. He now picks and chooses the runs that he makes, but he's got to keep himself like that. You know,
Yeah.
he's an older winger, and that's just the way it is, unfortunately. But he's adapted his game, and he's made himself a really useful cog in this Brendan Rodgers side after being such a useful cog the first time around. So that continuity is great, and having somebody like him, Nicholas Kuhn, Daisen Maeda, Yang as well, other players can learn off of Forrest because he's been there, done it, and wore the t-shirt for decades now.
Indeed. Over 542 people joining us. Thanks, guys. I'll read out some of your predictions, because there's quite a lot of predictions coming in, Ryan. You'll not be surprised to see what way these predictions go. Ashley Gallagher, 4-0, Kuhn for the first goal scorer. Okay, not so bad. Ashley did it last week. Big Adam should be up front to show ambition, goal threat, and what's to come for the boys. But 4-1, the Hoops, says Kenny Todd. So there you go, Ryan. And Mark Davies, thank you, Mark. Hello, guys. He's a new subscriber for the £12. Great show, guys. 4-0 Celtic. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate that. Taking up that offer. Good man. Scott Dougal, 5-0 Maeda hat trick. He's saying 420 somewhere, a regular contributor, 4-0 to Celtic. Even the dog's getting in the act. We back there. Francis, Gribbon Long, can't do predictions. Too superstitious. Fair enough. Each to their own, Ryan. Each to their own. Alan Sweating saying 4-0 Celtic. I think that's what he means. Celtic 4. Henrik McLaughlin, another regular contributor, 4-0. Stephen Johnston, 3-1. See a pattern emerging here, Ryan. Thomas Burns, 3-0 Celtic. Stuart Miller, more conservative, 2-0 again. He's saying K Matsu, regular contributor as well. 2-0 Maeda to score with something other than his foot or forehead. And
He's that sort of player.
Yes, Margaret McMillan saying 3-1. And Anthony Murphy saying, hi guys, thanks for everything. Great content. 3-0 Celtic. Keep the faith. Cheers. Thanks you, Anthony. Real appreciate that. And thanks to everybody who's contributing right now. 3-0 Celtic, says Helen McCallum. Thanks, guys. Real appreciate it. We can't do it without you. We always say we're a vital part of the community that we've built here, and we just want to get bigger, better and stronger as we go on. And we appreciate everybody that subscribes and everybody that comes into the comment section. And that's largely why we flick your comments up whenever we can, Ryan.
Yes, you guys make the show just as much as we do, to be honest. Without you guys coming on to the show, there would be no show because we'd be speaking to ourselves. So having 500, 600 people talking to us, talking to what we would probably do outside anyway, discussing the game and previewing the game, it's a bonus. It's just an added bonus, and we appreciate everybody coming in and airing their views. We try and bring up as many as possible. And if you do like what we do, please subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't done so already. You'll get notifications as to when we go live with pre-recorded videos, as well as our live shows. That'll be the morning briefings, the pre-match and post-match videos too. So yeah, if you're interested in that, then please press the subscribe button, completely free, and we'll keep on growing. And then by you subscribing to us, it then pushes us on to other people, and we can make this community grow bigger and bigger, which is what we want to do. We want to make this as big as we can. We enjoy this part of our work, and we want to just keep it going, really, don't we, Tony?
We do indeed, and it's a cracking day for a game, Ryan. As you said, conditions are fine, pitch will be great. I want to see that kind of slick football that Celtic have been producing and taking into the pre-season tour of America and have taken into the first couple of games of the season, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm very confident today, I'll be perfectly honest, and I think that'll be reflected in my score prediction. It'll be very interesting if you go one higher than me today, Tony, because you'll really be putting your neck on the line if that is the case. Yeah, okay. I just think that last week was more akin to a 4 or 5 goal performance without the finishing, the shots on target, the XG. It all pointed to the fact that Celtic were utterly dominant for large parts of that game. If they had their shooting boots on, then it would have been more comfortable on the day. You know, that shot that hit the bar from Kieran Bowie, it can change the game completely. But thankfully, that was their only real chance at goal. Kasper Schmeichel's not really had a save to make professionally or competitively since he became a Celtic player. So I'm hoping that's the same today.
I'm hoping it's the same, but you might get one today, Ryan. Maybe if Hibs show a wee bit more ambition than they did last weekend. You'd like to think they'd maybe come out a cup game, have a wee go and let them. I wouldn't say I don't want them to be extremely busy, but hopefully he'll be able to deal with I'm going to sneeze,
Yeah,
but I'm all
absolutely,
right.
absolutely. Yeah, you got it, you got it. Yeah, I do agree.
Excuse me.
Not that I want to see Kasper Schmeichel get tested, because if he's not getting tested, then the defence is doing its job, and he's got a pretty easy job in there. But tougher tests await. I think today it could be an interesting dynamic, because it's not a league game. It's a knockout tie. It's got to be finished within the 90 minutes or 120 minutes. If it goes to extra time, could potentially go to penalties. So, yeah, I think you'll see a different dynamic from Hibs today. I think they'll go for it. It's a bit of a free hit for them, which I think will suit Celtic in the long run of the game, as the game goes on and the game wears on. I just think it's a game for Adam Idah. We've not really spoke about him because he's on the bench today, but I think that he's got a job to do. Whether the game's still in the balance, if it's maybe like there's one goal in it, or if it's like a nothing each after 60 minutes, which I don't think will be the case. I hope not. He's a player that's going to come on regardless and instantly want to make an impact. I was so impressed by his press conference the other day, because he answered absolutely everything that was flung at him, whether that be attitude issues about trying to force a move through at Norwich, which wasn't the case, about the price tag, which he doesn't even think about. I was just very impressed overall with his demeanour and his maturity in answering the questions. He carries himself like a Celtic player, and you can see why he wanted to make that move happen. Every source that I've looked at has not said that Adam Idah forced a move through. In fact, the only real people that are saying that is probably up here, to be honest. And I think they're a bit misinformed if that's the case. So, yeah, I was impressed, and I hope. I just hope that
I was quite consistent with that myself, Ryan. I have to say,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, I mean, you're hearing from his ex-manager at Norwich. You're hearing from Brendan Rodgers too. You're hearing from the man himself and Norwich sources too, who were commending him for the fact that he actually played last week when he would have had so much on his mind. So I hope he gets rewarded today. I hope he comes on after 60 minutes. Maeda only needs to play 60 minutes today, because he's still nursing himself back to full fitness. I want to see him get on the park, and I want to see him break his duck, very early. And I think it's the perfect game for him. 60 minutes. Throw him on. It'll reinvigor the crowd if it's maybe died down a bit. He'll get one hell of an ovation when he comes onto the pitch, and I'm just looking forward to sampling that moment, to be honest.
I think everybody's excited about what he can bring to the party now. He saw enough last season to convince him that he's a big game player, and he scores big goals in big games, so this is his it'll be his second coming, won't it? His second homecoming. His second home debut, and hopefully he comes on and he does score and gets off to the proverbial flyer. And as you say, what an ovation he'll get when he comes on, and he'll get loud cheers if he happens to bang one in the net, just the one, or many more. If he had started, I would have tipped him for a hat-trick, Ryan, but hey, he's not starting. Maybe just have to settle for two then, something like that when he comes on. But yeah, wish Adam Idah all the best. I championed him all season, all close season, and after the manager spoke in the cup final, so I think I've said everything about Adam Idah. When he wasn't a Celtic player, he's now officially a Celtic player, so I can now start talking about him, hopefully in glowing terms, Ryan, when he comes on today and makes an impact, the impact that we all hope and know that he can make.
Well, he makes impacts in big games, and I would argue the point that cup games are big games regardless of what round that you're in. Because if you don't turn up out with the group stage, which Celtic will thankfully or hopefully never ever be involved in so early on in the season, just due to the landscape of Scottish football. Trust me, put it this way, if they are ever involved in the group stage, then I think the club have got serious problems, because they'll
Something's
finish
gone
6 or 7. Yeah. From this point, the competition then reverts back to its original format, where it's a knockout. A winner has to be decided. I'm not a big fan of cup replays, so I'm glad that it gets sorted in the duration of the game. Whether that's home or away, I'm fine with that either way, because I don't like too many fixtures becoming too congested over the course of the season, especially early doors. I think this should be as easy a integration as possible for the players, because you had players playing at the Euros, you had players not having a lot of time off with internationals as well, so they can get eased into things. Then I don't think anybody's complaining, but like that it's going to get settled today. Hopefully Celtic don't even make it competitive today. They just flex their muscles and do what we expect them to do and continue on for the good start. I can't see anything other than that happening, Tony. I would be incredibly surprised if anything other than a comprehensive Celtic victory is achieved today. And I'm not trying to be big-headed or that or anything. I'm just know what this team are capable of, and if they do play to the capabilities, things happen. That's football at the end of the day. But if they play to their optimum, then I don't think anybody in this league has anything to answer back with Celtic, because they just look and they look like they're in a really good place at the moment, is what I'm trying to say, long story short.
Uncle Nobby Steamboat 5-0, he says. Ryan Craig Rankin, looking forward to see Maeda lead the line. His pace is sensational. 5-1 Celtic. Richard Coleman, the lowest so far, 1-0 and no injuries will do him, he's saying. Lewis Gralton, 4-1 Celtic, expecting a more open game than last week. And Sons of Scotland, thank you very much. The only way is the Celtic way. Great show, guys. Really appreciate that. Sons of Scotland, the regular contributor as well. Thank you for that. Appreciate it greatly. Dave McSorley, 5-0 Celtic. Big Idah off to a flyer, says Paul McGurk, and 4-0. Joe Curran saying, not many folks would have predicted that front lineup, but he's saying 3-0 or 3-1. He's taking both, Ryan. Joe, 3-1 Idah, and scored in the second half, says Des Harkin. And Hoopy the Doug, probably my Doug as well, 5-0 Celtic, he's saying. So lots of people going high, Ryan, with their predictions. That's fair enough. 770 people joining us, guys. Thank you very much. That's incredible numbers for a live broadcast before the game. And Peter Murphy from Gibraltar, good friend from school. One is Tadros from a very hot Gibraltar. Comfortable Celtic win today. He's saying 3 or 4-0. Have a great game, Anthony Ryan. Cheers, Peter. Appreciate that, bud. Hope you're well. Hope sunny Gibraltar is treating you well too, sir. So, yeah, lots of people going high with the scores, Ryan. Lots of 3s, 4s, and a few 5s there, Ryan. So, confidence is coursing through everybody connected with Celtic at the minute. I think Brendan Rodgers gave a masterclass as he previewed this game on Friday, didn't he? He really did. I think he spoke about everything other than this game, to be fair. I think that's one question. But, that was your leader, and he acted like a boss on Friday. And, I think everybody's just taking the lead from the manager as well. The players on the park right now, aren't they?
Yeah, he just seems to be in control of absolutely everything at the moment, and I don't think he was fully in control of lots of things last season. Last season was an awkward campaign for a lot of reasons. Brendan Rodgers been back at the club for the first season since leaving halfway through. Regardless of what you think of that, it was awkward at the time. It did take a good 5 or 6 months, I think, for people to really get on board with it. I think there was certain moments that really did click everybody back into gear. Funnily enough, I would say the loss against Hearts was one of them. Weirdly, I always look back in that game as a real moment. That press conference that he did after the game, the galvanisation that was created and bonded and formed in that press conference was massive. But I just think everything's so much cleaner now and clearer too. Everybody seems to be singing from the same sheet, and that's absolutely brilliant to see. The players are comfortable. You've got players that were maybe agitating, or players that maybe could have been agitating for a move, such as Rio Hatate, understanding that he's still got another season to do what he has to do before he gets that big move. Matt O'Reilly could have been agitating for a move, but he's a Brendan Rodgers guy. He is a consummate professional, and he'll just keep on going. If you were to hold me to a prediction now, I would say I think the game has changed ever so slightly, and that Matt O'Reilly will stay at the club until at least January. But as we know, still 12 days of the window to go. I just think everybody's positive at the moment, and a couple more signings of real quality in key areas will really get everybody buzzing, not just for the domestic campaign, because I think there already is excitement there, but European as well. If they really push the boat out, they've managed to retain the players that were vital in success last season. You can't forget that Scottish Cup final. Bernardo gets the assist by way of the shot, and Idah gets the tap-in rebound once Butland spills it. Now they are where they were last season. Now it's all about improving the team and bringing in those players of quality. They've got 12 days to do so. Ideally, I would want 3 or 4, but 3 players of real quality, I think, change this team seismically. Left back, left centre back, and maybe another winger, another midfielder if O'Reilly does leave the club. But if O'Reilly stays at the club, you've already got a 25, 26 million pound player on your hands. Even more so, because Celtic have probably rejected bids of that amount. So, keeping a 25 million pound player at least is good news. It's a win-win, really, because they're either going to get a record profit a record sale, or they're keeping one of their best players in recent years at the club for another season. I just think there's a lot of positivity going about just now, and I'm looking forward to sampling that once again today.
There's so much positivity surging through the club right now. You'll never walk along 1888 saying easy 4-0 to the almighty Celtic, he's saying. And Ryan King, highest yet, 7-0. He's saying no messing from Ryan there. But yeah, I think it would just be wonderful news for the club if they could keep a hold of Matt O'Reilly. As I say, these 12 days are going to drag in, but it's positive signs at the minute, but you're just too scared to say anything, aren't you, with regards to Matt O'Reilly now. But what you will get from Matt O'Reilly is consummate professionalism, and he will play for Celtic until he's told that there's a bid being accepted and all of this kind of stuff. So, and Brendan Rodgers has no qualms about him at all. And yeah, that's all we can hope for happening moving forward. As I say, 12 days, I think Celtic fans are getting increasingly more confident holding on to Matt O'Reilly until January at the earliest, So let's hope that plays out the way we all want it to. But as you say, they've got 12 days as well to add to that squad. And if they add to that squad, then I think it will just increase the feel-good factor, Ryan, that's currently around. And everyone's so positive, enthusiastic, the way they're playing, the way the manager's speaking, the way he's, just the way he's holding control of certain things at the club. And Adam Idah coming back. It's good news week every other day, isn't it, to be honest?
Yeah, the positivity has really shifted, because I think a lot of people were quite negative about the transfer window. And yes, they have brought in players that we are familiar with before, because 2 of them were at the club last season. You still managed to get them on permanent contracts. People can say what they want about the transfer fee. Brendan Rodgers was very adamant that Celtic have got value for money with Adam Idah. I'll take Brendan Rodgers' word over others, to be perfectly honest with you, at this point in time. So yeah, I just think the positivity is there, but I want that positivity to be maintained both on and off the park.
Yeah.
We've got this game plus 2 others before the first international break. I'm expecting a busy 12 days and with regard to the transfer window too, both in ins and outs. There's players that need to be moved on, I think, in order for others to be brought in. Because if you can adjust that wage packet, or you can adjust the amount of wages that are going out, then you can maybe bring in 1 or 2 players for more than what you were expecting. Just think there needs to be that natural moving on of players. There's too many players that are there in the team that aren't contributing whatsoever. So if you can move them on, bring in a couple of players of real quality and prestige, then I think Celtic will be more than ready for Europe. I'm more confident than I was this time a month ago, because I remember I came back from a holiday about this time a month ago, and they'd only signed 2 goalkeepers, and you're like, what is going on here? What's the situation? While I wanted there to be more signings, I'm happy with what there is just now. And if you can keep players like Hatate, O'Reilly, even players that maybe haven't been speculated with moves away like Kyogo, etc., there's still the nucleus of a really strong team now. That's a team that won a double last season, and it's a team that know what is expected of them from Brendan Rodgers. So you can naturally expect better results because of that, because they now know what their manager wants. They've got the full season.
Yeah.
They've probably shaked off the Ange Postecoglou hangover that they had last season for 2 or 3 months, and now they're firmly bought into Rodgers' philosophies and ideas. So yeah, I'm pretty confident at this moment in time, and I'm confident about today. If Celtic turn up and do the business, then they'll win this by a fair few goals, I would say.
Over 850 people with us, Ryan. Okay, moment of truth. Okay. I'll let you give your prediction to see where I'm going. On you go then.
I'm going to go for 5-0 today.
I knew you were going to pick 5.
I just think that Celtic Hibs won't sit back. Celtic won't sit back. If both firepowers go at each other, then Celtic have got a greater firepower than Hibs, and I expect goals to happen. And I can't see Idah not scoring when he comes off the bench. So yeah, that's my prediction. I'm going to go for 5-0, and I think Celtic are really going to put down a League Cup statement today.
Okay, I usually go 1 up or 1 down. I'm going to be positive and go 1 up. I'll go 6. All right, 6-0 for Celtic. Yeah, just feel that it probably could have been that last week had they been clinical and took their chances. So I just feel that they'll prize Hibs open this today, and I think the manager will demand that and he'll want that. So, Celt 88 saying 4-0, Edward Diver saying 4-2, and lots of other people have been coming in and adding there. Brown Warrior 4-1, he's saying Forest to score. Terence Pat, he's even outdone me. 9-0 Celtic, he's saying. There you go. It has been known. 9-0 Celtic. And 7-0 says Uncle Nobby's Steamboat with 900 passes.
They're getting there with the passes. They're not far off that, by the way, at this point in time. It's incredible.
Edward Viable is 3-1, he's saying. So there you go. So you said 5-0, Ryan. I said 6-0. So we shall see how it all pans out. But I think Adam Idah will score as well when he comes on. Maestro 4-1. He's saying Maestro 95 4-1, and David Turnbull 4-0 with 2 late goals, one of which will come from Adam Idah. Right, I shall let you boost, Ryan, and go and enjoy the game, enjoy the atmosphere. We shall reconvene, guys, when all the work is done. Look out for the instant analysis. There'll be man-by-man player ratings. There'll be a Brendan Rodgers Q&A as well, and we'll reconvene at some point after the game. But thank you to the 856 people that joined us live. Can't do it without you guys. Thanks very much. Thank you to all who have taken up the offer of £12 for a year on the website, access to everything on the website. Thank you so much for that. That ends tomorrow at midnight, as Ryan said earlier. So just hit that subscribe button, www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. I always say it's result dependent. Have a wonderful day wherever you're watching it. We'll be back on at some point after the game. Ryan, you go and enjoy it, and I shall speak to you soon.
Cheers, guys. Enjoy the game, everybody.